The space station hung above the planet like a metal ghost. Its walls caught the light of the distant sun, and the ship hummed with the sounds of machines working without rest. Captain Wright stood at the observation window of the research section, watching the planet below turn slowly. The world was green and blue, peaceful, and full of life that no one here truly understood. He had been on the station for 3 years now, 3 years since his wife died, 3 years of raising his daughter among the stars, far away from Earth and everyone he used to know. The station was called Meridian. It was a place where different species came together to study, trade, and pretend to respect each other. Knew better. Respect was something earned, not given. The research section was his kingdom. Rows of glass containers held creatures from Earth. Each animal was labeled with careful notes. The purpose was simple. The Galactic Council wanted to understand Earth. They wanted to know what made humans different. The creatures in these containers were supposed to show them that humans lived among predators and survivors. Instead, most of the visiting aliens just laughed. Found him there, as she always did when she finished her school lessons. She was 8 years old and had her mother's dark eyes. She also had her mother's way of seeing things that others missed. She pressed her face against the window, looking down at the planet below. "Can we go back?" she asked. She asked this question often, though both of them knew the answer. "No," said. He put his hand on her shoulder. "This is home now." "I hate home," said. It was not cruel or angry. It was just truth the way an 8-year-old spoke it. Did not argue. He could not argue. He knew she was right. They walked through the research section together. The containers were arranged in careful rows. Some held snakes. Some held spiders. Some held insects that had no names in the languages the Council used. Everything here had been brought from Earth to show the alien species what humans lived with every day. They had arrived 3 weeks ago. Ambassador led their group. She was tall and pale, with skin that looked like paper. Her eyes were too large and too dark. She spoke in a voice that sounded like wind through broken glass. She had brought with her 4 other, all of them dressed in the same clothes, all of them carrying the same small devices that measured and recorded everything. "Primitive," Ambassador had said when she first saw the research section. "Very primitive. The creatures are interesting in their base form, but nothing remarkable. Your species lives among these things? How did you not become extinct?" Had wanted to hit her. He had smiled instead. This was what living among the stars taught you. You learned to smile at people who insulted you. Pulled toward the back of the research section. The honey badger was kept in a container twice the size of the others. It was a small animal, no larger than a cat. Its fur was black and white, marked with thick stripes. It was curled in the corner of its container, sleeping. "Can we watch him?" asked. "Yes," said, but quietly. They sat on the floor in front of the container, tucked her legs under her, and did not move. This was something she had been doing for the past week. Every day she came here and sat with the honey badger. Did not understand why. The creature was not the biggest or the most dangerous of the animals in the research section. It was small and ordinary. The honey badger woke after a few minutes. It yawned, showing sharp teeth. It stretched and shook itself. Then it moved to the small tree branch in its container and climbed it with surprising strength. At the top, it sat and looked down at. "That one is useless," a voice said behind them. Turned, Ambassador stood there with her measurement device in her hand. She was recording something on her small screen. "It is called a honey badger," said carefully. "I know what it is," the ambassador said. Her thin mouth moved into something that might have been a smile. "We have the data, small predator, limited hunting capability, aggressive for its size but ultimately unremarkable. Why do you keep it? Why not keep the larger predators? This creature would be a toy to a child." Did not look away from the honey badger. "What makes something strong?" she asked. The ambassador turned her large dark eyes toward the child. "What did you say?" "Is something strong because it is big?" asked again. She was not looking at the ambassador. She was looking at the honey badger. "Obviously," the ambassador said. "Size, physical capability, technological advancement. These are measures of strength. Your animal is small, therefore it is weak. This is simple logic." Did not argue. She just watched the honey badger climb down the tree branch and walk to a small rock in its container. The animal pushed the rock with its head. It was not a large rock, but the honey badger pushed it as if it was the most important thing in the world. It pushed until it had moved the rock 3 feet. Then it sat down and started digging beneath where the rock had been. "Pointless behavior," the ambassador said. She turned and walked away, her device still recording. and sat in silence for a long time. The honey badger finished digging and found nothing. It did not seem to care. It climbed the tree branch again and looked out at them with small dark eyes that seemed to hold something ancient and certain. "Why does he keep trying when he doesn't find anything?" asked. "Because giving up is not something he understands," said. He did not know if this was true, but it sounded true. That night put to bed in her small room on the station. She had drawings on her walls that she had made in school, pictures of Earth that she had never actually seen, pictures of forests and mountains and oceans, pictures that came from stories her father told her. "Dad," she said before he left. "Yes." "The honey badger knows something the big people don't know." "What does it know?" asked. "It knows that it is not supposed to be afraid." Left the room and did not sleep well that night. He thought about what his daughter had said. He thought about the honey badger digging where there was nothing to find. He thought about continuing to do hard things even when there was no reason to hope. The alarm was a sound that made every person on Meridian Station freeze in fear. It was a high, sharp sound that cut through the station like a knife. In his quarters, Captain Wright was awake before he thought to move. He was already moving toward the door when the automated voice came through the speakers. "Security alert, breach in deep storage. Section 7, repeat, breach in deep storage. Section 7, all personnel report to safety zones. This is not a drill." Did not report to a safety zone. He ran towards room. The corridors of Meridian were starting to fill with people moving in different directions. Some were running toward the safety zones. Some were running away from them. Pushed through the crowd, not caring who he hit or who hit him. His daughter was in a room on the other side of the station, and he needed to reach her. He grabbed a communication device from his belt and tried to reach the school section. The line was full of noise. He heard voices shouting. He heard something else too, something that sounded like something breaking, something that sounded wrong. The lights in the corridor started to flicker, ran faster. He reached the school section and found it empty. The children had been moved. He accessed the security system using his officer code and saw where they had been taken. The research section. They had taken the children to the research section. It was supposed to be secure. It was supposed to be safe. When he arrived at the research section, he found chaos. The large container that had held one of Earth's larger predators was smashed. The creature was gone. No, the creature was there, but it was different. It was moving through the space of the research section like a nightmare made real. It was a hunter. Someone had brought it aboard. Someone had put it in the wrong container. Did not understand how this had happened. He did not care. He understood only that it was real and it was killing people. It was enormous. It was at least 12 feet tall with a body that was mostly muscle and teeth. It had 4 limbs that moved with horrible grace. Its skin was dark red, almost brown, and covered with marks from battles it had won. It had killed 3 station workers already. Their bodies lay in pieces on the floor of the research section. Security teams were trying to contain it, but they were making mistakes. They were afraid. Fear made people stupid. They did not seem to notice them. It was moving with purpose toward the back of the research section. Toward where the children were. Moved without thinking. He ran toward knowing this was stupid, knowing this would probably kill him. He did not care. He was a father. Everything else was noise. He found in the animal holding area. She was standing in front of the honey badger container and she was not trying to run. The other children had been taken to the actual safety zone. Somehow had not gone with them. Somehow she had made her way here instead. Shouted, he grabbed her and pulled her close. They had sensed the movement. It turned toward them and felt something break inside him. He was going to die. His daughter was going to die. This was how it ended. He pushed behind him and tried to think of anything that might work. There was nothing. The moved toward them and he could see intelligence in its eyes. This was a killer. This was a creature that had hunted for its entire life. It did not see prey. It saw only dinner. Moved, she stepped forward away from her father's protection. She walked toward the honey badger container. No, said, but she was already opening the container. He did not know how she knew the code. She should not have known the code. But the door slid open and the honey badger was free. Bent down her small face level with the small animal, she said something. Could not hear the words. It did not matter. The honey badger heard. The small creature moved like fire. It shot out of the container with a speed that was impossible for something so small. It ran directly at the hunter. What happened next was something that's brain did not want to accept. The honey badger was climbing up this body, moving with terrible purpose. It went for the eyes. It went for the joints in the creature's limbs. It went for anything that was sensitive, anything that could be hurt. The screamed. It was a sound that echoed through the research section. The creature tried to grab the honey badger, but the small animal was faster. It moved like it was made of pure fury. It bit and clawed and moved with a determination that seemed almost personal. The thrashed and crashed against the walls of the research section, but the honey badger would not let go. Stood frozen, watching his daughter stand perfectly still, while an animal the size of a house fought something that was supposed to be a toy. The security teams arrived, finally understanding what they needed to do. They fired their plasma weapons at the creature was hit 3 times. It fell. The honey badger jumped clear, landing perfectly on the ground next to. It was breathing hard and there was blood on its fur, but it was alive. It did not move again. In the silence that followed, found that he could not breathe. His daughter was standing in front of him. She was not crying. She was not scared. She was watching the honey badger as it cleaned itself, licking the blood from its fur. "The honey badger does not know how to quit," said. Her voice was very small in the sudden quiet. "I told it what was happening. I told it that there was a bigger thing. But I told it that bigger things lose when they do not remember how to fight like they believe they will win." Pulled his daughter close to him. Over her shoulder, he watched the honey badger sit down next his feet. The small creature looked at him with its dark eyes. It looked very tired. It looked very satisfied. It looked like it had done exactly what it needed to do and had no regrets about any of it. The alarms had stopped. The station was getting quiet again, but everything had changed. Everything the medical center of Meridian Station was full of serious faces. Everyone wanted answers. Everyone wanted to know how a hunter had ended up in the research section. Everyone wanted to know why a small child and a small animal had done something that should not have been possible. The honey badger was in the medical center too, in a secured container filled with healing equipment. The animal had broken ribs and torn muscles. It had lost blood. By all measures, it should have died from fighting something that large. Instead, it was healing. It was eating the food that the medical machines provided. It was sleeping and waking and acting like it had done nothing unusual. Was also in the medical center. She was not injured. She was being observed because the doctors could not understand why she was not traumatized. A child should have been screaming. A child should have been broken by what she had seen. Instead, she sat in her room and read her books and asked when she could visit the honey badger again. Sat in the observation room while they interviewed his daughter. Commander Hayes was conducting the interview. She was the highest-ranking officer on Meridian, and she did not ask simple questions. She asked the questions that mattered. "I need to understand what happened," Commander Hayes said. She was a woman in her 50s with hair and the kind of face that had seen too many hard things. "Why did you go to the research section? Why did you open the honey badger's container?" "Because it was the right thing to do," said. She was sitting very straight in her chair. Her small hands were folded in her lap. "Why was that the right thing to do?" the commander asked. "Because the big people were coming to kill us, and the honey badger is the best fighter," said. It was simple. It was absolute. It was the kind of truth that only children could speak without apologizing for it. Commander Hayes looked at through the window. He could see that she was thinking about something important. She turned back to. "The honey badger is very small. The creature that was hunting you was very large. How did you know it would win?" the commander asked. Looked at the commander like the question was strange. "I did not know it would win. It did not know it would win. But the thing that was hunting us, it thought it would win. And that meant it had already lost. It forgot how to fight like something that is afraid. The honey badger does not have fear. The honey badger only has the need to keep going." Felt something in his chest break open. His daughter was 8 years old, and she understood something that philosophers had written books about. The interview was recorded and sent up the chain of command. It reached the Galactic Council within hours. The Council wanted answers. The Council wanted to understand what had happened. Most importantly, the Council wanted to understand how a human child and a small Earth animal had done something that violated every law of biology and combat strategy they understood. A week later, Ambassador came to the medical center to examine the honey badger herself. She looked different. She looked smaller. She looked like she had been wrong about something and was trying to understand how that had happened. "The creature should be dead," she said too. She was looking at the honey badger through the transparent wall of its medical container. By every measurement, by every standard of biological capability, it should have been torn apart in seconds. Yes, said. He did not offer more explanation. Your daughter told the interrogators that she told the creature what was happening. She told it that there was a larger thing. She told it to fight anyway, the ambassador said. Her voice sounded different now. It sounded like it was trying to hold onto something that was falling away. That is correct, said. But that makes no sense. Animals do not understand words. They respond to tone and to instinct. Your daughter could not have changed its behavior with mere words, the ambassador said. No, agreed. But she could have reminded it of what it already knew. The honey badger does not know fear the way your species understands it. It does not calculate the odds. It simply knows that it does not quit. It knows that it does not back down, reminded it of that. She gave it permission to be what it already was. The ambassador was quiet for a long time. We have watched your species for many years. We have concluded that you are interesting but limited. We have concluded that your biology is weak and your technology is primitive. We have concluded that you have succeeded only because you are fortunate enough to live in a safe part of the galaxy. We concluded that if your kind ever faced true danger, you would fail. We are beginning to wonder if our conclusions were wrong. The other doctors and scientists in the medical center heard this. They did not move or speak, but they heard. Over the next 3 days, more species came to look at the honey badger. They came to watch the security footage of the fight. They came to interview. They came because word was spreading through the Galactic Council that something did not make sense. Something that contradicted everything they believed about strength and survival. On the 4th day, Commander Hayes asked to speak with privately. The Council is requesting a full presentation, she said. They want a comprehensive analysis of Earth's fauna. They want to know how humans have survived living with creatures like the honey badger. They want to understand what your daughter did and why it worked. Are you prepared to help me give them answers? Yes, said. This will change things, the commander said. For humans, for your people. The council is starting to ask questions they have never asked before. They are starting to wonder if they have misunderstood something fundamental about what strength really is. The chamber of the Galactic Council was not like anything it had ever seen. The room was enormous. The ceiling stretched so far above that it seemed to touch the stars. The walls were made of something that was not quite metal and not quite glass. They glowed with a soft blue light that never changed. Around the chamber, 50 different species sat in their assigned positions. Some were humanoid, some were not. Commander Hayes stood in the center of the chamber, stood beside her, sat in a special observation box that had been built for children. The presentation was about to begin. The Imperium, the ancient species that guided the council, sat in the highest position. Their representative was a being that looked like pure intelligence given form. Its name was impossible to pronounce in any human language, so the council simply called it Prime. We are here to discuss an incident on Meridian Station, Prime said. Its voice seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. An incident that has raised questions about our understanding of biological capability and behavioral prediction. Commander Hayes, you will present your findings. The commander activated the display systems. Images filled the chamber. They showed Earth. They showed its landscapes. They showed its predators. They showed humans living among creatures that by all logic should have killed them many times over. Humans have survived on Earth for hundreds of thousands of years, the commander began. We have survived in environments that no other species would choose to inhabit. We have hunted creatures 10 times our size. We have adapted to everything from frozen deserts to burning plains. We have done this not because we were the strongest or the fastest. We have done this because of something else, something that your species has mostly forgotten. The commander showed footage of humans fighting through history, humans defending their young, humans standing against impossible odds, humans refusing to quit even when surrender was the logical choice. Humans are driven by something that transcends logic, the commander said. We call it will, we call it determination, we call it courage. It is the choice to continue when everything tells you to stop. It is the choice to believe in victory when the odds say you should accept defeat. Ambassador stood up. This is poetic but not scientific, she said. Her voice was still sharp, but it was not as confident as it had been. You are describing behavior that is not rational. You are describing something that should not work in a universe governed by physical law and logical progression. Yes, the commander said, but it does work. Look at the next footage. The chamber watched the security recording of the honey badger fighting the They watched as a creature less than one-tenth the size of its opponent fought with absolute ferocity. They watched as the small animal moved with precision and determination. They watched as it won. When the footage ended, the chamber was silent. "That creature should be dead," one council member said. It was a member of the collective, a species that believed all action should be based on mathematical probability. "Every calculation shows that creature should be dead." "By your measurements, yes," the commander said. "The honey badger does not know your calculations. The honey badger only knows that it does not quit. It only knows that it does not back down. The honey badger was born in a world where everything was trying to kill it. It learned early that size does not matter, strength does not matter. What matters is that you refuse to lose." Prime leaned forward. It seemed like a small movement, but the entire chamber noticed it. "You said something else changed the outcome," Prime said. "A human child told the creature what was happening. How can you explain this? How can you explain that words changed biological capability?" Commander Hayes nodded. This was the question that mattered. "Did not change the honey badger's capability," she said. She reminded it of its nature. The honey badger is a creature that carries fear differently than other animals. It carries fear as information, not as a barrier. Spoke to the honey badger, and she spoke with certainty. She told the creature that there was a larger thing, but that the larger thing had forgotten something. The larger thing had forgotten how to fight like it wanted to win. The commander turned to in her observation box. "I would like to explain this in her own words." The chamber rustled with surprise. Children did not speak in the council chamber. Children did not present their thoughts to the Galactic Council. Stood up, she was very small in the observation box. She was very young, but when she started to speak, the entire chamber listened. "On Earth, the honey badger is the smallest big hunter," said. Her voice was clear and steady. "But it is not afraid. Every other animal is afraid of something bigger, but the honey badger is not afraid. It just fights. And when it fights, it wins because the other thing does not believe it will lose. The honey badger believes it will win. The other thing believes the honey badger is small and weak. But the honey badger does not know about small. The honey badger only knows about winning." Paused. She was looking at the council members with eyes that seemed much older than 8 years. "The big thing that came to kill us, it knew it was big. It knew it was strong. It thought that meant it would win. But the honey badger did not know about that. The honey badger only knew that something was trying to hurt people and that the honey badger does not allow that. So the honey badger fought, and because the honey badger believed it would win, it did win." A member stood up. "This is magical thinking. This is not how biology works. Belief does not change physical reality." "Belief changes how you fight," said. "If you believe you will lose before you start, you will fight like you are losing. If you believe you will win, you fight like you are winning." The other creature thought it was big and strong, so it would win. But the honey badger thought it would win no matter what, so it did. The bigger thing had already quit inside before the fight started. The honey badger never quit at all. The chamber was completely silent. Even the mechanical members of the council seemed to be processing something that they had not considered before. Prime spoke. "The human species has a capability that we have not properly measured. You have shown us this. The question now becomes, what do we do with this knowledge?" The Imperium member who sat beside Prime, a being of crystalline structure that refracted light, spoke next. "I propose a new designation for humans, not as a primitive species developing in isolation, not as a species fortunate enough to live in a safe region of space. I propose that we designate humans as an emerging power with unique cognitive and behavioral capabilities that we do not yet fully understand. I propose that we grant humanity a seat on the council. Not because they are powerful in our, write part 1-2 of 1,200 words in a separate document, and it should be interesting and write it in third-person style. And it should be in simple and basic English. Use simple and basic English and without heading soft words and use asterisk sign write part 2. In whole story and without heading. Write part 3 of 1,200 words in a separate document, and it should be interesting and write it in third-person style. And it should be in simple and basic English. Use simple and basic English and without heading soft words and use asterisk sign write part 4. In whole story and without heading write part 5. Of 1,200 words in a separate document, and it should be interesting and write it in third-person style. And it should be in simple and basic English. Use simple and basic English. Sense, but because they understand something about strength that we have forgotten. There was debate, there was disagreement. Some species argued that humans were not ready. Some argued that humans could not be trusted, but the Imperium Prime had spoken and the decision was made. Humanity would have a voice in the Galactic Council. Sat back down, she was very quiet. She did not seem to understand that she had changed the course of history. She was just thinking about the honey badger. She was thinking about when she could see it again. Looked at his daughter through the window of her room. She was reading. She was not thinking about council members or presentations or how she had changed the way the galaxy understood anything. She was just a child reading a book about animals she had never seen. Then we should give them the answer, said. Would be different now. Knew this, he knew it the way he knew his own name. Something had happened in the research section that was going to change everything. 3 days later, the alarms started to sound. They did not stop.